Welcome to the Create What You Speak podcast. Join me as we have a real-life discussion on how to change your life by changing your thoughts. Remember, question everything, trust yourself, and find your truth. Welcome to the Create What You Speak podcast. My name is Sloan Fremont, and I'm your host. It's been a while since I've done a solo show, so I wanted to take some time today to tell you some things that are going on in my life, tell you some lessons that I've learned, some things that my intention is that you'll be able to recognize this in your own life and hopefully be able to develop some new perceptions and really start to look at your situations maybe just a little bit differently, like I did with what I'm about to tell you. But before we get into that, I want to just remind you of a couple things. If we are not connected on social media, let's do that right now. Pause this video or pause the audio, however you're listening. Scroll down to the bottom of this page or to the bottom of the description in the podcast. Click on the links in there, and all of my social media is listed there. So I would love to get connected with you. If we're not connected on Telegram, please let's get connected there. That's probably one of my favorite apps that I use right now for social media. So let's definitely get connected there. The second thing I want to remind you of, if you're not subscribed to my newsletter, I would love for you to go do that right now. Also pause this audio or video and go sign up for my newsletter. You can find that on my website, sloanfremont.com. Over on the right-hand side, there's a little box. You just enter your email address. I send out an email once a week, but the reason why this is so important right now is I'm getting ready to launch a new course in the next few months. And those who are on my newsletter list are going to be the ones who get first access to it. They're going to be the ones who get the lowest price. So please sign up for that so that you're on the list. I would hate for you to miss out on that. All right. So yeah, like I was saying, it's been a while since I've done a solo show. I've been doing a ton of interviews. If you've been listening, I'm really loving doing those interviews. I'm meeting people, all kinds of people, different people, and each conversation is a new perspective. It's a new way to think about things. It's a new way to experience your life, which is really the goal, the intention, my reason for doing this show. So if you listened to any of those episodes, if you have any questions, if you want me to talk about anything different, I would love to hear your feedback. You can email me, sloanfremont@pm.me, also in the show notes. So please reach out. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What you've learned, what you've done with what you've learned. That's something Erhard and I talk a lot about on these shows. Erhard Vogel, we do an interview every month, and we always ask, so what's the action? What are you going to do with this information, right? Because if you're just a consumer or a collector of information, but you're not actually doing anything with it, it's really you're not using it to its full potential. So I'd love to hear more about what you're doing with it and how things are changing in your life as a result. Okay. I think that's all the announcements I have so far. So I'll get into today's topic. So what I want to talk about today is having the things you want, but being unable to see it. Like having these, like saying you want these things, but then they're actually there, but you just can't see them. I had 2 experiences of this in the past couple of weeks that I want to share with you. And again, I'm wondering if maybe you'll notice this in your own life where you have something, you say you want something, but it's actually there. You just can't see it based on what your current perception is programmed to see. So let me give you a couple of these examples, and then we'll talk about the how after I give you the examples. Okay. So I think you all know my boyfriend was in the military. He's now out of the military. We're doing the long distance thing right now as we figure out next steps and what we're going to do. And he was here last week. He was here, and we went to this yoga class. It was like a restorative yoga, right? Where, you're holding the poses for a long time. And my boyfriend is very always joking around, right? Like he's very, we just joke around about a lot of things. And so when we're in this class and we're next to each other, every time he's doing a move or every time he's doing something, he's always maybe he's trying to stick his foot in my face, or maybe he's trying to make me laugh in some way, right? We're still into the class, but he's still we're still having a good time together while we're in this class. And so he's doing all these goofy things, right? Sticking his foot in my face, pretending to, grab my arm, or maybe we're holding hands in one of the moves, right? We're probably that couple that I myself would have been so freaking annoyed at years ago. And I'm like, oh God, look at these two, right? But actually I would have like said that because that would have been like what I wanted, like the type of relationship that I wanted. Right. Um, so we're in this class and we're doing this. And at the end of the class, the instructor had given us, because it's restorative and it's at the Y and they don't really clean like their props and stuff. So she had given us pillowcases to put over the bolster, right? So at the end of the class, you walk up, and give her back the pillowcase that she brought. And as I walked up there to give her the pillowcases, she was talking to me about how my boyfriend and I were in the class. She's like, "You two are so cute together. You're just having so much fun back there," because we were back in the corner. And, I started laughing and I kind of walked away. And then to the whole class, she announced, "Oh, the reason why I was laughing is those two in the corner. They were having such a great time together. And their relationship is the type that all of us should strive to be in." And I was like, wait, what? Is she talking about me? Like, is she talking about me and my relationship? Like what? Like, I was in like this state of disbelief about it. Like, if you've listened to my show over the years, my struggle with relationships, that's been something I've really, really worked at, getting my own self in order about, understanding my own things that are going on with me, or understanding myself better so that I could have the kind of relationship that I wanted. And so this outside person is observing us, and she made this like declaration, this announcement to the whole class about how we're in this, like, we're the type of relationship that people should strive to be in, right? Because we're back there laughing, having fun. We're just enjoying our time together. And I'm telling you, like, I couldn't process that she was saying that about me at first. In the first thought that came to my mind was, well, it wasn't always like this. Like, that was the negative thought that came to my mind, right? It wasn't always like this. And I'm like, wait a minute. Who cares if it wasn't always like this? This is how it is now. Like, this is what we've grown to. Like, we've been through the shit, right? We went through his deployment. We went through separation, right? We're not like in the same place right now. We went through everything when he's in the military and there's not a lot of time to spend together, right? We've been through all of this stuff. And here we are now in a completely different place. And this outsider noticed how we were together and commented about it. Like, why can't I just accept that? Why can't I just be okay with that? And so I really thought about that afterwards, because that was so, like, it really struck me as like, wait a minute, like, I say I want all these things, but I have the relationship that I say I want. Like, why couldn't I see that before? It was so baffling to me. And so I started thinking about that. Like, why won't I allow myself to have that? Right? Why do I choose to look at other things? Really, I think for me, it's, why do I always choose to look at, it's some future date that I'm going to have the thing that I want, right? It's almost like I can never have what I want right now, because I'm always waiting for some future thing. And that future thing is always changing, right? Well, it'll be the relationship I want when X, or, okay, then maybe X happens. Okay, it'll be the relationship that I want when Y, right? So it's like I'm always putting this future date out there for myself and never allowing myself to be, wait a minute. Yeah, I actually am in the relationship that I say I want. Like this is what I've been wanting all those years. Like, why can't I just enjoy it and let myself have it? Right? So this thing we do with our minds, how we, I don't know, it's like we block out these elements of what's going on around us, and we choose to focus on certain things, usually negative, or some future thing, like I did in my mind, or something else. We focus on something else. But as I was sitting there afterwards thinking, like, it's been here this whole time, yet I couldn't see it, right? Because I was too busy focused on who knows what, something else. And I'm going to tell you that conversation with her saying that, and that realization and acceptance with myself of like, wait a minute. Yes, I do have the relationship that I want. Like, this is what I want. This is how I want my relationship to be. That has completely changed how I interact with my boyfriend, because I'm not I don't know, like, I'm not seeking something else, or I'm not like anxious about the next thing coming, or anxious about the future. I'm actually enjoying where I'm at with him. I'm letting it be what it is. And I'm actually accepting that and enjoying it, and trusting and believing that, yeah, this is it, right? This is what I want. And that is it took me a long time to get here. If you've listened to my show, you know this, but I'm telling you this today because maybe this is something that's happening in your life. Maybe not with your relationships, but maybe with something else. Maybe with the job or the family or I don't know, fitness goals, whatever it is, right? Maybe there's something in your life where this is happening for you. It's like we won't let ourselves accept the thing for some reason. And so this realization is just, I mean, it's life-changing. That's why I wanted to talk about it today. And I want to give you one other example of this. This actually has to do with my podcast. Every once in a while, I take voice lessons because I do some voiceover work. I do another podcast, part-time, plus my own, which, I love doing. I've done this for a long time, but I can always learn. There's always something I can learn. And sometimes I feel like I talk too fast. Sometimes when I first watched myself on video, I felt like my mouth didn't move enough. And so I had this like hang up about, I would just watch my mouth and be like, why am I not moving my mouth? And so there was all these things, right? Like getting in the way, like, so that, like trying to make me criticize myself. Like it was my own self doing this. And so I take these voice lessons, and I really love the teacher because we do all this crazy stuff, right? There's like, sometimes we'll talk about things in like a different voice, like a baby voice, or like I'm reading a children's book, or like I'm talking to my dog, right? We use all these different voices. And the whole point of those exercises is to get me out of my normal cadence, right? Get me out of my mind, get loosened up and get comfortable. So I had done the first, I don't know, probably second or third, maybe it was in January roughly of this year. I had done a voice lesson with her. And that's when I was just starting with the other podcast. So I was in some voiceover work. So I was really trying to understand how my voice comes across, how I can read in different voices, how to, accentuate certain words, my cadence, breathing, all this kind of stuff. And believe it or not, there's a lot that goes into this. Like there's a lot, and I'm just, I barely scratched the surface, but for professionals, there's a lot that goes into this. And so that I remember after those first, I think I might've even talked about it on here, but those first, lessons I did with her, it was very freeing to me to like free up my voice, do these crazy, silly things. And I remember telling her too, because I had trouble with some of the exercises, and I had this block, like this mental block. And she asked me, well, what's going on? I said, I know exactly what's going on. I remember when I was, 8 years old, and my mom told me I didn't have a very good singing voice. I remember that. We were sitting in the car. There was some song on the radio. I was singing, and my mom looked back and laughed and said my voice was as terrible as hers was. 8 years old. Ever since then, I believed I had a terrible voice. I have no idea if I do. Even throughout junior high and high school, when we had to be in chorus and do all the singing and stuff, right? I would never really sing too much because I thought I had a bad voice. I just believed that story. So in this voice lesson with this instructor, I'm realizing, well, I don't know if I have a bad voice. I mean, I'm not trying to get out there and sing. I want to use this more for what I'm doing on the podcast and with voiceover work. But that storyline that had came up from when I was a kid came up again. And I actually was like, okay, that's what it is. That's all it is. It's just a story. So I don't have to stick with it. I can still try these voices. I can be bad at it. I really don't care, right? I'm not like, my livelihood isn't dependent on if I can go high pitch or low pitch, right? It's just, I'm doing this because I want to get better at something, and I want to have fun with it. I don't want to make this a chore. I don't want to make this some thing that stresses me out. I just want to have fun with it. So I decided to let go of the story of that I had a bad voice and just have fun with it. Cause it's just her and I in this room, right? I don't care really. She's heard who knows what for all of her years of being a voice coach. So we're going through this, back in January, and we had this great session. So then I went back to her, probably a couple weeks ago now. And so it's been 8 months now that I've been doing more of the voiceover work. I've been doing interviews on my podcast. I've been doing interviews on the other podcast that I do, Books on Air. And she said, when I came in there, she said I was like a completely different person. I had more confidence. I was more, my cadence, my voice. I had I was more comfortable with what I was doing, whether when I was reading, when I was talking, and I wasn't as hung up on worrying about what other people thought of my voice, or that I had a bad voice, or that my mouth didn't move enough, right? Like I was kind of over that, I guess. I just had kind of moved on from it. And it was a really interesting conversation with her because I talked about how I had been doing the work, right? I had been doing the work. I had been doing the interviews. I had been on both podcasts. I had been doing the voiceover work. I had been trying things, trying different things, playing around with things. I'd been doing some voice exercises that she had given